Hello and welcome to this week's show of Weighted Donuts. I'm Wayne Unger, and today we have a returning guest. It's been a while, but he's a returning guest, Michael Leuck, who I affectionately call Lucky. Lucky, welcome.
Yes, Owen. Thank you. Glad to be here. Lucky is a term that's relative to once in my life. I haven't been lucky since.
Well, some people have been lucky never. So
that's a good point.
You know, so the last time, well, first of all, let me tell our audience, Lucky is a lifelong Cleveland Indian fan. And so when we had him on the show, when I was doing it with Ralph Tycho and we was New York City baseball past, present, and future, we had Lucky on to talk about what it was like to be a Cleveland Indians fan. And particularly in the 50s when, with the exception of 1954, the Indians were, for the most part, getting their butts beat by the Yankees. So,
yeah.
And at that particular time, it would have been toward the end of April. So in April of 2016, the Indians finished that month 10-11. And even 1 month later, okay, they were only 26-24. But, so I guess, you in a way, you did experience being lucky again last year. You made it all the way to the World Series.
True. I don't know that was luck. Luck would have been to win it, I think. But the Indians had a great second half like they are this year. This year's a whole different subject. But last year they played well, and they played well in that second half, and they went on to the World Series, and they, in my mind, easily went through the divisional series and then the league series and went into the World Series against the Cubs, who is like facing a gift from God, I guess. There's no way you could have beaten the Cubs. It was the Cubs' turn to win, even though it hadn't rained, but it did, and some may call that a act of God who made that rain come in the seventh game of the World Series and went into extra innings, and the Cubs win. But if Jason Kipnis would have hit the ball 10 feet further, the Indians would have won. So it was the Cubs' year. And I guess if you're going to lose to somebody in the World Series as a lifelong Indians fan, it's okay to lose to the Cubs.
Yeah, speaking of last season, it's I'm like, I was looking earlier at the Indians, month-by-month record. And actually what propelled them to win their division was June. Right. They went 22-6 in June. I mean, actually they were over 500, but they weren't, superlative. I'm guessing their winning percentage for July, August, and September was closer to like 550, which isn't terrible, but not really. To put it in perspective, like when they went 16-13, I just pulled it up. When they went 16-13 in May, that's a 552 percentage. But in July, they were 12-12. In August, They were 16-14. In September, they were 16-11. But they went 22-6 in June, and that propelled them to, they had incredible pitching. They only gave up 75 runs that whole month of June. So it was clearly their pitching.
Yes, as it is. Well, it's not clearly their pitching this year, but it is their pitching this year. But the hitting that's come on, if we skip to this year and what happened as an Indians fan, you look at this and you go, this is unbelievable. Even as a baseball fan, you have to say, how in the world does a team in 2017 win 22 straight games? It's amazing. And they won them handily, except for a couple. And the statistics they put up pitching, the statistics they put up hitting, it was unbelievable. And I can't put in words what it means because I don't get it. I don't understand what it's like to win 22 games in a row in a Major League Baseball season. I watched it happen, but I can't believe it did. It's just incredible. So they built on last year and their experience in the World Series, and they came out fighting. And in the first half of this season, I would call them average at best. And all of a sudden, after the All-Star game, they took off. And then they had that winning streak of 22 games, and then they lose a game, and then they win 5 more. And I think in the last 36 games, they're like 33-3. I don't know. That's like the Tigers way back when they started the year off 30-5. Like, how do you do that?
Well, you do it with an amazing, like you say, they're winning games handily. Their run differential for the season is plus 241. Okay.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, the closest team to them is the Yankees with 197. Yeah. Okay, but the Dodgers, who also, the Dodgers, who have actually won more games and also had a pretty incredible run, they're at 193. So yeah, it's like, nothing has gone wrong for them. And they're doing it with, how can I say it? They're doing it with, one, besides their pitching, they're doing it with a balanced lineup that reminds me of the Yankee teams from 96 to 2001. In other words, they've got some stars. They've got some stars, but they've also, they've got guys in there that are contributing, first of all, Jose Ramirez is having an MVP type season.
Yeah.
I agonize, when if you put a gun to my head, it's like I agonize between him and Altuve. And although, it almost looks as though he's, from what I see, from, what people write, and I'm talking about, sports writers. Now, the ones that can vote for the MVP, they're not giving anything away, but it seems as though he'll finish third at best. Whereas personally, I think he's running neck and neck with Altuve. And Aaron Judge, that, they're saying, they're like, it looks like Aaron Judge might very well finish second, if not first. But I think this might just be Altuve's year. And you know what? You can't knock it. You can't knock it.
No. It should be Altuve's year, for sure. And as far as Ramirez goes, he doesn't care if he's the MVP. He plays baseball to win games, and he doesn't get wrapped up in that stuff, according to what I've heard him say. But if you compare Altuve and Ramirez defensively, Ramirez is a better second baseman, statistically. If you look at hitting, well, Altuve, he's got 200 hits again this year. It's lots of hits. So it would be a tight race, but throw in Aaron Judge, which will take them both away. It'll probably be Altuve first and Judge second and Ramirez third. That's my prediction.
Yeah, but all through the lineup, you got some, you got Francisco Lindor. I don't know if people realize it. Well, I guess people that play fantasy ball do. But here's a guy with 42 doubles and 33 home runs.
Yeah.
Encarnacion is quietly only hitting 38 home runs. So, and he might make 40 home runs. Another typical year for him. I mean, the thing is, the guy bats 260, 270, but people don't realize he hits for that power, but he also gets on base. He's got it. He's walked over 100 times already.
Right.
Santana is another guy. with some pop, and another guy that gets on base at a fantastic rate.
Yeah.
So
I think
Austin Jackson and Jay Bruce in their part-time roles, have been great. Bradley Zimmer playing defense, and
right.
it just keeps going. It keeps going.
I think back to Jose Ramirez a minute, he's got 29 home runs right now, so he's probably going to finish with 30, 31. But a hidden stat on him is 53 doubles already. And that tied Grady Sizemore for the most recent record for doubles in the season. And the next guy in line, which is at 54, 55, is Tris Speaker back a long time ago. So Jose could break that record.
That's the Indians' record.
Yeah, the Indians' record.
Yes, okay, record. Right.
But he 53 doubles. 53 doubles, he'll have 30. I know he'll hit another home run before the weekend's out. So he'll have 53 plus doubles, 29 plus home runs. He's only struck out 68 times in 570 some at bat. So he is an amazing baseball player. And if you know his story, if you look at his body, you'll see that what kind of a body this is. It's a solid fire plug type body. But back when he was a kid and he was coming up and he went to a tryout in the Dominican, they just sent him home and said, no, forget it. And his dad said, put your uniform on and get back over there. And so he went back over there, and they needed a couple guys to fill out a roster to play a game, and he was one of them. And that opened the door for who he is today. So he is an amazing, hard-playing baseball player. He's got to be my favorite Cleveland Indian right now, just because you can see the passion he has for the game, and he just plays the game to win, and that's it. He doesn't get involved in anything else. He cherishes the game. He respects the game. He cherishes every at bat he has, and he tries to do the best he can every time he plays. He's an amazing kid. Amazing.
And listen, you look at the pitching too. You got a 1-2 punch of Kluber and Carrasco, and Trevor Bauer seems to be putting it together just at the right time.
Yes.
And Mike Clevenger, it's and the bullpen is you have Miller. You have Cody Allen. You have a former Yankee in there. You have Nick Goody, who actually
Nick Goody's in there.
Nick Goody is actually grew up not too far from where I live, because I had somebody, I'll tell the audience, my day job, I should say, my night job now is that I drive, for Uber and Lyft, and I had an Uber passenger, and he said, "You like baseball?" I go, "Yeah." And he right away was telling me about, he was good friends. He went to school with Nick Goody, and he was showing me pictures of at Nick Goody's wedding with Aaron Judge and yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, so Nick Goody and actually Cody Allen are both from the Orlando area, but Nick Goody, he was he was a cast-off. And
right.
He's been a very important part of that bullpen. They made that trade for Joe Smith. I know Joe Smith got hurt. I don't know if he's back on the roster, but I think Smith was hurt.
Yeah, he's playing. He's fine right now.
Okay. Like I say, you just go through it all, and the way that team is constructed, it just like I say, it reminds me of the Yankees of the '90s.
Yep. Their pitching is amazing, in the fact there's some guys in this roster, and they're all fighting for a position for the playoff roster, but there's one guy that if you're not a Cleveland Indians fan, you probably don't even know this guy exists. But his name's Tyler Olson. He's a left-handed out of the bullpen. Now, given he has small numbers, he's been in 28 games and pitched like 19 innings. He hasn't given up a run, not a run. And he in his 19 innings, he struck out 17. He is just tough on both right and left-handed batters. But there's another guy that no one's really ever heard of. He's from Gonzaga University up in Spokane, but he's a pitcher to be dealt with. So I hope he makes that roster. Then you go to back to the bullpen. The only guy that scares me to death in that bullpen, and he did it the other night against the Twins, was Brian Shaw. When Brian Shaw is on,
I knew you were going to say that.
When Brian Shaw is on, he's untouchable. But I promise you, every time he comes in, I go, oh my God, what's going to happen? So the other night, top of the eighth, the Indians are up 6-4 against the Twins. Here comes Brian Shaw, single home run, game over. They just beat him into the ground. So Brian Shaw's a workhorse. He pitches his guts out, but he worries me in that bullpen. But I'm not Terry Francona, so that's irrelevant. And then Corey Kluber. Corey Kluber has to be the Cy Young winner. He's got one more start. Based on everything, I know it's he versus Chris Sale, but in my mind, and I'm prejudiced, but Corey Kluber is the Cy Young winner. He's got to be, especially after Chris Sale's last start.
Well, I'll tell you. I also, give Kluber the nod, but I'll tell you, this is what Keith Law said, okay? Just to make it, and I'm just giving you what somebody, he has Sale 1 and Kluber 2. And
I'd love to know why.
And I'm gonna read it to you.
Okay.
Sale has the better FIP, okay? Because of his higher, that's fielding independent pitching. In other words, so FIP, that's a stat that they use, there are certain things they say pitchers cannot control. And so there's a stat that they have that pitchers can control. So because of his higher strikeout rate and very, very slightly lower home run rate, while Kluber has the low ERA. So Sale leads in Fangraphs WAR by 0.6, and Kluber leads in Baseball Reference WAR by over 1.5. Baseball Prospectus, which tracks the quality of batters a pitcher faces, has the two in a near-dead heat by any measure of strength of competition. As with the MVP races, there are multiple good answers here, but I choose Sale for the higher strikeout rate and for making 4 extra starts. Either is a worthy choice, however. Okay? And, but he also goes, it's immaterial to the race, he goes, but I was amused to see that Sale has had just 4 outings all year where he allowed more than 4 runs, and 2 came against Cleveland. But it is true. That is immaterial to the race.
Right.
So,
well, the Cleveland Indians own him, generally speaking. They beat him up every time they face him. But that may not, that's why the baseball gods are in charge. When it comes time for the playoffs, Sale could tear him up. Who knows? So his history means nothing to me. It's only what happens today. And though the Indians have owned him for the past couple of years, it could change in the playoffs. But anyway, Corey Kluber, yeah, he's down 30-some strikeouts. There's no doubt about it. But he's up in wins. Corey Kluber's whip is .86 for the year. He hasn't had a bad outing since April. And he did have 3 weeks off due to some injuries, which put him behind in the innings pitched and obviously the strikeouts. He's got one more game he's going to pitch, and I think it's probably the finale on Sunday. I don't know if he wins 19 games with 4 losses and has another classic Corey Kluber game on Sunday, I just got to go with Corey Kluber, I think. But
No,
you know, I done some,
I agree, and I'll tell you what. He had a back injury, and there's no doubt in
right.
my mind that affected his early season performance. His numbers very well could have been even more obscene than what they are now.
I think
So, you know, and the other thing is, again, like, you know, you can't say, I mean, and he's got 4 more starts, but you know what? Chris Sale has 1 less victory and 4 more losses.
right.
So, and you know what? Boston has a good bullpen. And so you can't say, well, you know, he had the disadvantage of the bullpen. You know, I have to give, I mean, you know, on the surface, the perception is that Boston has a good offense, but to me, there's weaknesses, you know, that they are missing. They're missing David Ortiz. They're not really getting, you know, they haven't gotten really good production from first base and DH like they have in the past. And even at third base, they were hampered for a while. They've had Devers Devers has been hot, but, again, you know, but still, it's not like they're at a loss for runs.
Right.
So, you know, taking all that into consideration, I have to, you know, I have to give it to Kuba. And also, and actually, you know what? As far as run support goes, I actually looked it up. I think, Kuba has 0.2 of a run more per game in run support, which to me is, you know, isn't enough. Okay. I mean, overall for the season, the Indians have scored 17 more runs than Boston over 100 and where are we up to? Over 159 games. So I think that's, you know. So yeah, no, I'll go with Kuba.
Yeah,
So
I think so.
But
I mean,
and you know what? The Indians are looking really good. I did pick Houston to win it all, and I will have to say the Indians are giving me pause to, you know, thinking like, you know, but the you know, the Astros are playing really well again. They're hitting. You know, their bullpen is coming back around. I think it was just getting a little tired. Adding Verlander really helped. That was huge for them. And Keuchel getting Keuchel back on track. The key is going to be that third starter.
it is.
You
know what?
That's going to be key.
You know, the scary team for me, strangely enough, and it should scare the Yankees a little bit, would be the Twins. Those guys are hitting machines. They hit the ball hard every time, and I've watched them play a lot because they play Cleveland. And Cleveland, ironically, handled them in Minnesota. They won 9 or 10 games in Minnesota, but when Minnesota comes to Cleveland, Minnesota took 6 of 8 right now, and with 1 game today to go. But the Twins scare me because they're the Twins. I don't know why. I mean, their lineup, top to bottom, is not star-loaded, especially with Miguel Sano out, but they all hit the ball hard, and they play hard. And they're a little scary to me. But they're going to play the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. So what do you think about the Yankees and the Twins playing each other?
Well, I tell you, you know, when you say the Yankees should be scared of the Twins, it doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter who the Yankees were playing. If you're talking about a 1-game playoff, you're always nervous. It doesn't matter who. It wouldn't have mattered who got in. You know, a 1-game playoff. I mean, that's one. I don't like it. I think we discussed this the other day. I don't like it. But if they are going to have it, then it should be 2 out of 3. If they should have a play-in game, it should be 2 out of 3. And secondly, but I prefer that they just go back to one wild card. You're not going to do it because it's all about the money.
Yes, it is.
They're not going to. They're not going to say, nah, you know what? It's not a good idea. Yeah, we think this other format is better. So you know what? We're going to give up millions of dollars because we think the other format is better. Okay? It's just not happening. But I liked it better when the wild card, it was just one wild card. And as we discussed, I would like the idea of when the wild card plays the team with the best record, the wild card has to really earn it, and in a 7-game series, they only get 2 home games. Make them earn it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well,
but
for me, I guess we have to go with the times, and we have to have wild cards and play-ins and all this stuff because of the dollars. But I am such a baseball purist. I hate the wild card. I hate the 3 divisions. I hate interleague play. I hate the DH, and I hate fake grass on a field. So, for me, I'm just totally obsolete in this day and age because I want the American League and National League to stay separate from each other and only meet in the World Series. And of course, that's never going to happen. But that's how I grew up with baseball, and that's how I know baseball. And I just don't like the way it's done. Of course, I would still have them in flannel uniforms if I could too. That's just me.
Well, I tell you, I'm sorry, but first of all, you must be slipping because it took you 30 minutes to say you're a baseball purist. Okay?
I know.
But anyway, no, but flannel uniforms. Nah, I'm sorry. You know what? To make that's listen.
I know.
Let me. I mean, come on. You're not still wearing wool long johns. That itch like crazy. So why should they wear flannel uniforms? But
no, it's a symbolic thing.
I know. Well, I really do think that there's a possibility that one day we might get rid of interleague play. I think there's a chance.
I hope so.
Or I think there's a chance it might get scaled back. That's something I liked it at first, but it's something that I truly dislike now. We'll never get rid of the DH. As a matter of fact, my biggest fear is that we'll one day get the DH in both leagues. And the big argument there is people say, oh, well, who wants to see a guy come up, bat with a 100 average? Or who wants to see a pitcher get hurt, because he doesn't run a lot, because he doesn't hit, or things like that.
Yeah.
And my answer to that is, in the minor leagues, when you have a National League affiliate as the home team, well, then you have National League rules. And then this way, you will have pitchers when the ones that do make it to the major leagues, they will have actually held a bat in their hand. They will actually know a little bit, they might have an idea how to hit, or they might continue their hitting skills, some of them who were two-way players in college. They might actually know how to bunt, and they might actually know how to run without hurting themselves.
Well, I don't know about the minor league. All I know is about the South Atlantic League, which I watched a lot of this year, and they use the DH, whether you're National and American League. So those pitchers don't hit at all.
All the minor leagues use a DH.
Right.
Which to me is I find that crazy.
Me too. But I flash back to when I was a kid, and you talk about pitchers, injuries, blah 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 blah. Well, back in the 50s and 60s, pitchers batted, they ran. In fact, pitchers used to pinch run on a regular basis in a game, And ironically, when they came in from the bullpen, they rode in the car. I can I can never figure that out. But
well,
pitchers,
the car was they used to do golf carts, but then they went to cars. It was all about sponsorship. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I would hope. I mean, I think there's inequity if you're going to have interleague play, and you're going to have a different rule for where you play the game based on the team you're playing. That's inequality to the team that has the DH all year. Now all of a sudden, talk about wanting to get a pitcher hurt. That's a good time to do it when he's not batted all year. Now he's in the game hitting and running. Different muscle groups, different skills, all this kind of stuff. So baseball's got to make a decision here, in my opinion, either bang the DH and get rid of it, or they're going to have to put it in the other league. But the American League would be just totally for the DH because they have players on their rosters. That's about all they can do is hit the ball at that point. And the National League, I'm not sure, other than what holds up the National League from going to the DH. Do you have any idea?
I'm going to say that one more time, the last sentence.
Why is the National League fighting going to the DH? What's their theory?
Why are they fighting?
Yeah, why don't they have the DH in the National League?
I don't know, but the thing is, they may very well end up with it, And by the way, I stand corrected. The DH, they do use it in the Pacific Coast League, but there's a catch. It said in the Pacific Coast League, pitches only hit when both clubs are National League affiliates. And both clubs agree, to have their pitches hit. Okay? So you can even have a situation. So in other words, it's not NL, AL rules. If it's an AL affiliate, it's DH all the way. And if teams agree, if it's two NL affiliates, if teams agree, then they can actually also bypass the pitcher hitting and use just the DH. So, but basically, the argument is that, the argument has been pitchers no longer hit in the minor leagues. Offense is what, attracts fans, and
I get nauseous every time I hear that kind of excuse, because we're supposed to go to a baseball game to watch baseball. As a baseball purist, having somebody hitting for another player is like Little League to me. And it takes some strategy out of the game. It takes some thought out of the game. To me, it changes baseball. And I worry more and more every year as the purist that they start talking about this pace of play. And this year they're having automatic walks to first base. That takes something out of the game, and that there could be a catcher can balk on a intentional walk. There could be a pitch thrown wildly. Remember, I forget who it was. Somebody hit what was supposed to be an intentional walk, and he hit the ball and drove in the winning run and all that kind of stuff. So pace of play and changing the rules for that drives me crazy, because it's not what baseball was meant to be when it was created. And I know it's archaic to some to think that way, but I really think it affects the game when you start messing with situations that change the strategy in baseball, because baseball to me is a very mental, pre-thinking, thinking far ahead, sort of like playing chess in that way. It takes a brain to really think through 2 or 3 innings ahead. And when you start changing all the rules just because they're based on pace of play because someone's getting bored, that's rubbish to me. Why is that person at the game? Just to be entertained, sit there like they're watching TV? Or are they actual baseball fans? So it bothers me a lot.
Okay, let me ask you this. So let's go back to, when was the first year of the DH? Was it 69? No.
71 maybe?
71, okay.
Ron Blomberg?
Yes, I should know that because we actually had him on the show. And so let's say, so since 1971, has there been any change in baseball that you liked?
Me? In a change in baseball since 71. Let's see.
Or we can, you know what? We can even go back. We can even go back to 1969, the first year when they had divisional series.
Right. I can live with, but don't like any changes the baseball's made since '69. I can live with it because it just has to be, and I'm not going to give the game up because some people want to make money. But that's what all the changes are about since '69. Every change was made to make money. And I guess that's why the owners are in the business. But if you read Habersham's books and the stuff from the 40s and the 50s where baseball players were playing to survive in their life, they had a whole different approach to the game, and they had a whole different approach to what got accomplished and how it was done. The travel was different. There were 8 less games than now. I just don't. The only changes that I can see that baseball's made since then have to do with finance, and I don't like any changes that baseball's made since then. I remember back in the early '70s when Charlie Finley was running the show in Oakland. He came up with this grand idea about to speed up the game. He had proposed that baseball would have 3 strikes and 3 balls, and you walked on 3 balls. And so that was absurd. And I was at a lot. They used it in spring training in that about 1971, 72. And I'd go to spring training games, and I'm going, this isn't speeding up the pace of play. This is slowing it down. The guys were walking all over the place. And that was crazy. Luckily, they threw that out. And I'm trying to think of any other changes that have been made since '69 that I would like. I guess I can't think of any. I mean, I can't. I just don't like when you mess with baseball.
You know, I mean, keep in mind, you know, back in the 40s and 50s, they played less games, but they also had less teams. So, right. You know, when you add teams, it would have been, you know, less games per year against a team. I'm really like, I'm okay with the divisional thing. You know, I just don't like the play-in game. I don't like having the 2 wild card teams. The fact that now you got 15 teams in each league, you know, and you got the 3 divisions, and you get a wild card because, again, like many years, you have a wild card with a better record than some divisional winners. Sometimes the wild card has the second best record in their league. So I'm okay with that. I kind of like that, and I'll tell you what I like about it. It's like, cause like if the season, if all we got was just the World Series at the end of the season, I don't know. That's a tough. I gotta like wean down a little bit. You know, it's like, okay, it's, you know, like it's postseason, and as each series goes, it's like, you know, you're getting to the end. But it just kind of extends you a little bit. And I know some people make an argument about the weather, but the weather is actually worse in April in most cities than it is in October.
Yep.
So, I don't like the DH. I am okay with the divisional series. I don't like interleague play. I don't like the the automatic intentional walk. At first, though, I was open to it.
Never.
No. You know what? But I'm a humble enough guy to say no. I was wrong in that thinking. Don't like that.
You know what's coming next?
What's next?
What's next is 40-man rosters in September, I'll bet you sooner or later somebody proposes that, okay, you can have 40 men on your roster in September, but before each series you have to declare only 25 active. Because talk about a mess. The last the last 2 nights with the Twins playing the Indians, in the first night the Twins used 10 pitchers and still had 6 left over. And then last night the Twins used 7 or 8 more pitchers. Mollister was changing pitchers every inning in both games. And somebody's gonna propose that 40-man roster thing needs an adjustment.
Well, it's been, you know what? It's been talked about for years, and I'll tell you what. And the guys talking about it are not. They're not. You know, are guys like who, you know, particularly one who I have a lot of respect for. You know, as a baseball man, and that's Buck Showalter. And I tell you what. When you think about it, I don't know. You know, I'm okay with having make 20. You know, you bring up. You know, you can expand to 40, but you know you have 20 in September. You have 28 available for a game. Right. You know, like the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are like at 36 or 37. You know, and part of it is because and the thing is they can afford to pay these guys. You know, because when you do bring somebody up in September, you're paying them, you know, major league minimum. Mm-hmm. So if you look at the teams, all you have to do is look at who called up a lot of guys and who didn't, and you probably will see a financial pattern there as well. But I have to say I think I like the idea of dressing 28 guys. You know, call up as many as you want, but you can only dress 28. Granted, you know, it still allows you to manipulate your pitching. In other words, like you're not going to dress the guy that started the last day or two. But I think I like it better than having 10 extra guys available.
Right. So. I know in the day roster expansion was for one reason, and that was to get a look at potential players and have them play in major league settings and see how they worked out. But once again, we've moved on to now those guys are integral in the season, and I mean they're trying to win games, and so when you have a bullpen of 18 guys, you can potentially do that. I don't know. I don't really care if they cut the roster or keep it at 40 and have you designate 28. It doesn't matter to me. I don't have to worry about that. But either way, it's fine. I mean, they're going to change those guys every series, so it doesn't much matter. But I know if you want to get looks at your players, they got to be playing in major league settings. But a lot of the call-ups that I've seen, not a lot, several that I've seen come from Double-A, and you know they're not major league ready, but they're getting a quick look at them. But then they'll go back to Double or Triple A for next year. But that's irrelevant to me, I guess. But it does sort of make a mess to manage that stuff and to get it moved from city to city. So I don't know. It doesn't much matter.
Well, you know, the guys that they call up in Double-A, it's pretty much a slam dunk that they're going to be in Triple A next year. And,
right.
We had a long time ago. We had this guy Frank Conti on, who does a lot of minor league coverage, and he said, he goes, you know what? He says, once you make it to Double-A and you're successful in Double-A, he goes, chances are you're going to get to the next level. He goes, you make it to Triple-A. He goes, Triple-A is you're just like in the holding pattern for the most part, waiting your turn.
That's right.
So the guys at Double-A that do get called up, you know, at the end of the year, they're going to Triple-A. I mean, basically at some point, they're going to be major leaguers.
Right. The Triple-A rosters are made up of never was, never will be, and has been. And they
yes.
just build their safety net in there. And there's some guys from AAA that they're going to go up, but they don't spend much time at AAA if they're going up for real. They're there, and then boom, they're out. So that's interesting how that works out. Those double A guys, a lot of times pitchers make the leap from double A to the major league and just skip triple A altogether. And some hitters can do that, I guess, to some degree. But
So
anyway.
before we wrap this up, so listen, I know you're picking the Indians.
Well,
all right. Well, are you picking the Indians in the American League?
well, my heart picks the Indians every year, but I'm not.
All right. So what? All right. What is your head? So give me your head picks for this year for American League pennant, American League and National League pennant and World Series winner.
Okay, but first let me preface that by saying the baseball gods have a way. They always are in control. And so what looks to be a shoe-in never is, and things always equal out in baseball. That's what I love about the game. It does not matter how good you are yesterday or today. It only matters this moment. And when that's over, it all starts over again, regardless of the stats, regardless of your winning streak, regardless of your losing streak. It only matters what you're doing right now at the plate or on the mound during the game that matters. So I would pick the Indians with my heart, but I would probably pick them at about a 90% with my mind, but I still have a concern that the gods will even this out. And then given that, I would have to probably pick. The Astros have to be a possibility in the American League, but the Indians handled the Astros in the season 5 out of 6. But again, that's irrelevant because it just doesn't carry over like that. So if I'm going American League pennant, I'm going to say the Indians, with the Astros a very good second possibility. In the National League, I would pick. The Diamondbacks came on really strong. They have a possibility, but I'm not sure about all the pitching they have. And the Dodgers are the obvious pick if you're going based on how they did in the season. But there's some tough teams over there. Washington is tough. The Dodgers are tough. The Diamondbacks are tough. Which, by the way, the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers both destroyed the Indians this year. So let's say that I'll pick in the National League. I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick the Dodgers to go to the World Series. And in the American League, my heart says the Indians, but my gut says it might not be. It could be the Astros.
Okay. I mean, I picked the Astros to win it all. And I'll tell you what, it's so, I'm pretty sure I picked the Cubs to go again. But I don't know if the Cubs pitching is quality enough to take them through the playoffs. I like the Nationals. The difference between the Nationals and the Dodgers is I think is the bullpen. I still think LA has a little bit better bullpen, although the Nationals, getting Doolittle and Madsen were huge. So I'm gonna go with Houston over the Nationals.
Okay.
So
yeah.
And by the way, it's Ralph joined us, but he joined us just in time to say goodbye.
What?
All right.
What do you mean just this time to say goodbye? Am I
Because
an hour late?
I said 10 o'clock our time.
Oh, I'm confused. I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
Well,
It happens.
Would you like my opinion on the pennant race real quick?
Surely.
Okay. I think it depends on whether or not Houston's Correa is healthy, or the playoffs, I meant, not the pennant race, and whether or not Bryce Harper is back healthy with Washington. Two keys. When he's healthy, Correa and Altuve make the best double play combination in baseball. And I just want to say I'm sorry that I screwed up the time. Lucky, how are you?
I'm fine. Just let me add a little comment about your prediction. A secret that's going to bring on Houston strong, I think, is Verlander too. He's pitching his head off right now.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah, and I think Correa is healthy. I mean, he
hit 2 home runs yesterday.
He had 2 home runs and a double yesterday. I think he ate his Wheaties. I think that worked.
Okay. How about Bryce Harper? I'm ignorant about what he's been.
I believe they activated him. I don't.
Yes.
And he played yesterday. He went 1 for 4. But you know what? Like I say, he just came off. So the fact that he played, he got the bat on the ball. I guess this weekend will be very telling. But you know what? They still have, they've got Trey Turner, who is really like an unsung young guy. They still have Daniel Murphy, Ryan Zimmerman, Anthony Rendon, who's also like MVP worthy. Michael Taylor is finally playing, well, he's not a star, but he's at least playing.
Former Oakland A, it's only taken 7 years for him to.
Yeah, well, nonetheless, he's finally playing. He's at least playing like a journeyman. And they've got Scherzer, Strasburg, Gio Gonzalez has pitched much better this year. And so, I mean, I think they're definitely something to be reckoned with. But with that, we're going to close out the show. So, but, hey, listen, but Ralph, at least if you're late to the restaurant, they'll, if you got money,
I'll be late to my own funeral.
Okay.
There's no question about it. But you understand that there is the audience, it's not easy for me. It's a 3-hour time delay, and very early in the morning here, I just screwed it up. I thought it was, I just miscounted. What can I tell you guys?
That's okay.
That's all right. No big deal.
All right.
But thank you.
You'll have to come on my podcast one day and talk Cleveland ball, and I'd like you to do it at a time when I have David Nemec, who is the ultimate Cleveland fan.
Yes.
On. And that would be fun. And you join
That would be.
Okay. All right. Well, don't go anywhere. I'll close out the show with you guys here. Or, hey, Ralph, how about you close out the show for us? You do a little bit of work.
a little bit of work and Ralph, boy, in the same sentence. That's a stretch. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network presented Weighted Donuts with Wayne Unger and his guest, Lucky. Thank you very much, Wayne, for having me, and we'll be back. You'll be back next week, same time, same bad channel. How's
okay. That? All right. Excellent.
All right. Take care, everybody.
All right.